This episode is brought to you by Google. Innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. There are hundreds of thousands of skilled trades roles across the U.S. waiting to be filled. To help close this gap, Google is expanding its skilled trade support to help train more than 300,000 American workers across more than 20 states. This is a new era of American innovation. Learn more at grow.google/skilled trades.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome back. I'm Jay Scott, and this is The Hook Rocks, the ultimate rock community podcast. Thanks again for tuning in once again. We do appreciate it. Always appreciate you giving us a listen and taking time out of your day to listen to us. Don't forget to write us a review. Let us know what you think at the end of the episode. We do appreciate that as well. We are part of the Pantheon Podcast Network, a great network of music-related podcasts, the official podcast platform for Metallica. So check out their podcasts on our platform too, as well as the many other great music podcasts on Pantheon Podcasts. There's something for everyone. There's so much diverse topics about music on the platform. You can find them at pantheonpodcast.com, as well as on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Pantheon Pods. And you can do the same with the Hook Rocks on all three of those platforms. Just search up the Hook Rocks, and don't forget to set your app to automatic download so you get the latest episodes right to your phone, and you get to enjoy all the old ones that we've done in the past. We just celebrated our 500th episode with Dax Nielsen of Cheap Trick and our 4-year anniversary with Nita Strauss. Some of our recent shows have included Tracy Guns celebrating the life of Eddie Van Halen on the anniversary of his passing. So check that out. That was a great conversation with Tracy. We also did our quarterly album top 10 rankings that we do every 3 months. So check that out. Let that be a gateway to new music and new bands and artists that you may not hear on a regular basis, because a lot of them, or most of them, are not on mainstream or in mainstream music, as we know, because rock and roll is more or less underground these days, which is great. And also check out our updated conversation with our music business insider on the latest with Live Nation, ChatGPT, TikTok streaming, and the recent sale of Bandcamp. So check out all those great episodes and more. And we have the pleasure of another episode, another great interview that I've been looking forward to for the last few weeks. I was turned on to this artist by Jason and Brian from my friends at the All Things Blues and Southern Rock podcast. So I thank them. And my guest today is Emily Wolfe. What's happening? How are you, Emily?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for doing this. I look forward to getting to know you over the next 45 minutes or so. So again, thank you for the time.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me. Excited to chat about music.
Always, right? I mean, that's got I do that 24 hours a day. Even when I sleep, I'd be happy. So we always start out the same way every time we have a first time guest. And that's really what the show is all about. And just like every rock song has a hook that pulls you in, every rock fan has a moment, whether it's a song, an album, a band, or performance that hooked them on rock and roll. What was it for you?
Ooh, hooked me on rock and roll. I think what I would say is the song Sleeping Bag by ZZ Top. Um, that song is such a cross genre song. It's got like dance elements, that like chunky guitar thing that I love, and then these cool like flat back vocals that are just really iconic sounding. That song I think me hooked because my dad would always listen to that stuff when I was growing up, and yeah, I don't know, something about that song just being so different in terms of like what like the normal rock song. I think that's the song that made me understand that it was possible to mix different genres together.
That's the Afterburner album, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I remember that album well. That was when ZZ Top, I think was, well, I say this facetiously, but they co-owned MTV during that generation. It was just, they were all over the place.
They did? I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, during the Eliminator album and then with Afterburner, I mean, they were all over MTV with those videos and those, the dry humor that they had and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, they were big early to mid 80s. They were a big presence on MTV.
That's awesome. Man, I wish I had lived then.
Yeah, there were
Would've been
some really
awesome.
cheesy videos back then. I mean, I think it was just because it was a new, platform that really no one knew what to do. And you look back at some of these videos in from the 80s, whether it's ZZ Top or Van Halen or Pat Benatar or whoever it was, and it was all just this newness, and everybody was trying to figure out what to do with it. And there was a lot of crazy stuff. So it was really interesting back then.
Yeah, that's awesome. I do remember pop-up video being a big part of my life as a kid.
Yeah,
I miss that whole era,
that
like
was
what a
great.
cool concept. Yeah.
That was great. So where did it go from there from ZZ Top, Sleeping Bag? When did it propel you to want to be an artist, to want to perform on stage?
Well, I was super, super shy as a kid. I've played guitar my whole life since I was 5, just because like the first time I saw a guitar was, I feel like that's one of my first memories that I really still hold on to, because when I saw a guitar for the first time, I just felt like, oh, that's the thing that I need to do. That is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I need to figure out everything there is to know about this instrument. And so I was really shy at the same time. And so I kind of, growing up, I would just lock myself in my room and try and teach myself guitar. And as the years went on, I would write music, and it was bad music, but it was music nonetheless. And I think, well, so when was it? After freshman year of college, that's when I really started to find my voice, in a literal sense. And because I was afraid to sing, I was really shy, and I didn't tell anybody that I was a musician. My parents knew, my sister knew, and a handful of people knew, but I didn't really sing until I was like 20, because a really bad breakup kind of ignited this thing in me that I wanted to get up on stage and show people what I could do. And so in college, I put this little acoustic record out, and by that I mean I gave it away to my friends in college. And it started to kind of spiral from there, and I started to get hit up by promoters around town in Austin, and they're like, "Do you want to open this show at this little venue?" And I guess from there I realized that it was possible, and something that I really truly love to do. And it was just a matter of breaking out of my own shell and shyness. And sometimes it takes, really kind of traumatic events to do that. And so that's how it kind of began to snowball. And then let's see, I'm 33 now. So over the past 13 years, I've developed this sound that I'm really proud of, and really worked up my guitar chops, and now I'm here.
Did you find that the attraction to the guitar, you mentioned your shyness, growing up, did you find that did it spoke for you?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And it's interesting because it was something about the vibration of the strings that made me feel really at home, and made me feel like I didn't need to use words to describe how I felt. I could just play, even if it was to nobody. I felt better every time I sat down with a guitar. And then, yeah, as I broke out of my shell, if I feel any type of way, I love to just perform, because that's the best way that I know how to connect with people. So yeah, guitar is definitely the way that I connect and communicate with people as best I know how.
I've had this conversation with many guitar players on the show, and I always say the same thing. Like, when you look at the instrument, just look at it on its surface. It's very limited, right? I mean, there's only so much just by looking at it you can do with it. But however, it's up to the player to unlock anything beyond those limitations, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we just celebrated the life of Eddie Van Halen. I mean, I don't know if there's any bigger example of someone that took those limitations and far exceeded what anyone thought that the guitar could do. When you approach that instrument, and when you have these emotions and you have this instrument that speaks for you, how do you approach it? How do you attack? How do you phrase things with the guitar?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the thing that comes to mind immediately is like the 30 seconds right before I hit the first note of a show. And it's like there's a zone that I get into when it's like I kind of breathe in, put my guitar on, and then it starts to meld to my body in like a spiritual way. And I'm like, okay, this is like the mouthpiece now. Like, let's go. And so every emotion that I feel like I've ever felt, I make sure to put it in a bend, a low E string bend, and then a fuzz pedal on it. And then, so that's like the anger I feel, or, sadness, like the weepy things, like real clean and reverbed out. But it's like this, like the strings of a guitar are so, the instrument itself offers such a canvas for emotion, because you really can do really anything with it, and your hand truly makes it sing, like my left hand, and then the pick, it's like the way that I bend will allow whatever I'm trying to say come out, if that makes sense. But when I approach the guitar, it's like a combination of like sadness, but also like an aggression. Like I want to attack the guitar. Like I want to make it hurt, but it's also like kind of like, yeah, do it, go for it. Like my guitar, I feel like it's kind of a masochist. If that makes any sense, but I don't know. I think, I mean, I sit down at other instruments and I love to play other instruments, but guitar is just such a part of me that it really does open up my emotional kind of walls that I tend to put up when I'm not on stage. I hope that answers the question. I'm not sure
No,
if
it does.
but
Yeah.
Okay.
No, absolutely. the blues is very prevalent in your music, and you mentioned ZZ Top, and you mentioned also playing a guitar when you were 5. Was the blues your earliest influences that made you pick up the guitar?
Actually, no, I didn't. I think the thing that really was the biggest influence as I started out was classic rock. And then I grew up religious. I'm not religious anymore, but my parents, like any, proper suburban Christian family, took my sister and I to church all the time, and I got to watch a band play every Sunday, and that's why I love to go to church. Like, I didn't care about the message; I just wanted to see people play instruments. And so, I think I feel like Sundays were the best days for me, because we would go to church, I would get to watch a band play, and then we would go home, and my dad would be like, "All right, let's watch the car." And so I would help him watch the car, and he would throw on classic rock in the garage, and we would just watch his car together. And so those days were always really special to me, because they were such foundational to like what I feel to be music that I most connect with. And so between seeing a live band every Sunday and that, classic rock thing, and then I would go inside and my mom would be cleaning or cooking with Motown playing. And so those things all kind of melded together as I grew up and formed this thing that I know as music and what I like to create. And so yeah, I'd be outside and I would hear a guitar riff, and then I would go inside and hear these incredible arrangements in Motown music. And so that was the blueprint for me. And then in college, I got really into the blues because of like illegal music sharing platforms. And so like, somebody's library would pop up on my computer, and I'd see like Stevie Ray Vaughan, B.B. King, Albert King, all these incredible blues players. And then, so I went down rabbit holes on YouTube of watching live performances of these blues artists and connecting with not just the music, but also like mainly their performance, kind of, the performances that they had. And it's all so emotional. Like if you watch B.B. King play, he doesn't play a lot of notes, but when he does, they mean something, and he says something with every single thing that he does. And so that is something that I took away from the blues. It's like, if you're going to play a note, it's got to say something. So all of those kind of elements are really foundational to what I do. The blues, like it's interesting because blues is such an important part of rock. And a lot of the ZZ Top stuff is blues. It's just a different rhythm. So yeah, it's all kind of a mixture of that stuff.
Yeah, Billy Gibbons. I mean, I know a lot of people know ZZ Top through Eliminator and Afterburner in the 80s, but there's stuff from the 70s, whether it's Jesus Just Left Chicago or LaGrange or Tush. It's just, he's such an incredible player. And the blues, obviously growing up in Chicago for me, was always prevalent, and it was always there. And as I got older, I really understood and appreciated the meaning behind it, because what's so beautiful about the blues is how it's intertwined with our history, especially over the last 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
The civil rights movement and slavery and the Industrial Revolution, where families from the South, from the Delta, Louisiana, moved up, to Chicago because of industry. And that's how they came, the Chicago blues as it's defined now. And just hearing in the individual players, like you said, BB King or Buddy Guy or Magic Sam, they can play, all three of them can have a version of Sweet Home Chicago, and it all sounds different. And because it's so pure and it comes from such a place of emotion and it comes from a place of poverty, it's so raw and authentic. And there's never been a form of music that's ever matched that authenticity and that rawness and that honesty other than the blues.
It's true. And it's interesting too, because when I watch BB King play, like videos of BB King play, I feel like I know what he's been through. Like, I feel like what he's playing is just, here's what I've been through in musical form. And it's really interesting and so human, and just like such a thing that I strive to create in my own live shows.
Have you ever heard Buddy Guy's version of Red House?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's not on Spotify. You can only find it on YouTube. But at some point, search up Buddy Guy Red House, and the way he bends the string in that song, and the way he bends his strings, it's breathtaking. It's just, oh my, you can't even believe it. And then Magic Sam's Boogie, which is this live black and white video of him not even using a pick and just doing this crazy. I've heard people talk about that as one of the hardest pieces of guitar to ever be played. But it sounds so seamless and it sounds so simple, but it's the way he mutes the strings and plays the strings at the same time. It's just like people have taken months to try to figure out how to play that.
Wow.
I just love those old
awesome.
players. I could talk about blues forever. I just love it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So you've got some new music coming out too as well. You've got a couple new singles, and it's interesting that you said about Afterburner and Sleeping Bag, about how it meshed a lot of different genres together, and you kind of like that. And the one single that you did is Walk in My Shoes. I hear that influence of that too, that mesh of different genres. Obviously it's rock and blues based, and we all know that, but it does have a little bit of funk in it. It has a little bit of Motown in it too as well. And you can groove to it. You can dance to it. And when you said Sleeping Bag, I immediately thought of that single. Like, yeah, I can totally hear it now. I totally get it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that song was such a blueprint for Walk in My Shoes, because it's so punchy, and the message of that song is so punchy. It's about abortion, and so I thought, what better way to get a message across than to put it in a song that you can't get out of your head, because it's such an important message. Like if it's in your head as a song, maybe it could translate into thinking about, maybe I should walk in someone else's shoes. Maybe I should put myself in a situation that I am not used to. Maybe I should have more empathy for people's experiences that are not my own. And Sleeping Bag is always in my head. It's just like that sense part, like it's all there. It's like in there all the time. And I want it, especially with like the drum production. Like there's a part of the drum production that is really cool in that song. I wanted the snare to be really have a lot of character, but not be too arena rock, because there's a line there that, like, when you cross it, it's just so obvious. And so I thought, okay, I can't put a clap sample over the snare because that crosses into a territory that doesn't make sense for this. And so the engineer I was working with, we talked through it. I was like, how do I get like a weird character to this? And so we went into the garage next to the studio, and I was like, what about all these nails and bolts? Like, do you have like a tin that I can just like, you know? And he was like, yeah, here's a metal trash can. So all these all the snare hits have over it, just me in the studio with nails and bolts in a trash can, just pounding those. And it's really cool because it adds this like kind of the sound almost of oppression, if that makes sense, like chains and like, and so the production of all that ZZ Top stuff really translated into this. And of course the vocal treatment as well, like the small amount of slap was a very Billy Gibbons thing to kind of emulate. So
Yeah, no, it's a great song. It's very catchy, like you said. Um, and it does, it hits all the buttons, in terms of what you were trying to do. And yeah, I heard that. And then when you said you talked about Sleeping Bag, I'm like, the light bulb went on. I'm like, boom, there it is.
yeah,
Totally makes
that's
sense
awesome.
now. So,
Awesome. That's
and
great.
you've got the new album coming out too as well later this month called Blowback, comes out on October 20th. What was that like creating for you on this? I mean, obviously as an artist, you always want to have a different approach, or you figure out what approach you want to take whenever you're recording new music. What did you want to try to accomplish with this record?
I wanted to make a record that fully reflected how I felt in that moment, which a lot of it was just rage. And then there's some songs on there there's a song on there called Hopeless in Panorama, which is a very Americana approach to how I was feeling. And that one, it kind of opens up the whole door of like, okay, there's something for everybody on this record in terms of like, if you want to throw something on to work out to, or if you want to drive really fast down the highway, or if you want to cry alone in your car because somebody broke up with you. Like, every song is so different on this record. And I almost feel like I wanted to encapsulate every range of emotion that I felt over the past year and a half, into an album. And it was one of the coolest experiences that I've ever had producing it myself, because I got to finally get into the driver's seat and try everything I wanted to try sonically. And there wasn't anybody telling me, this lyric, you need to change this lyric. There wasn't that. It was like, okay, this is what I want to say. So I'm gonna and I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited to share it with people, because not only was it that, but I really wanted to empower people. And if somebody hears this record, I want them to feel like they are in their own driver's seat. And they're the number one, because this record is so much about stepping into your own power and feeling your own emotions and not being apologetic for any of it. So I'm just really excited for people to hear it and to play it live. And I think it's probably one of the most, I think it's the proudest I've ever been of a record.
You mentioned the rage of emotion that you were feeling when you started to record and create this record. How did you harness that rage? Because I'm sure you don't go into every record with a rage, I mean, this obviously there were things happening in the world. Obviously you speak about the emotion with your music and how it affects your attack on guitar. So you have this rage and you have something to say as a result of it. How did you harness that?
I think through the lyrics. I experienced a really intense thing. It was quite a betrayal of someone close to me last year. And it ended up kind of coming out in the first song off the record called Silencer. It's a really heavy topic, but I wrote this song for survivors of sexual assault, and the lyrics are very heavy, and it's for them. And the whole concept of like victim blaming that comes along with going to police about it. I felt like the best way to combat that whole thing was to write a song about it and to sing it really well, put some punk vocals in the second chorus, quadruple stereo guitars, just really intense. And I've never done that before. I've never written anything like that because I am used to writing songs that are very much based on love or breakups or just kind of wanting to riff rock. But this particular song, and then a lot of the other songs on the record, were very lyrically driven in that I wanted to kind of seek revenge. And so I think that's why I'm so excited to share it, because I feel like it has the potential to help people, and it has the potential to allow others to step into their own power and not blame themselves for things like that. And so it's a really heavy subject. And it was really intense to sing, and the lyrics are just a lot, but playing that song live, which I've been doing over the past couple of months, is really healing and really exciting. And so that's kind of how it came out, is the lyrics. I really just kind of, I had to write about that stuff to feel better through this whole period of my life. I think that's how all that happened.
Writing a song about something like that that's so sensitive, you have a lot of thoughts, I can imagine, about what you want to convey and what you want to share and how you want to share it. And you have, like I said, you have all these thoughts in your head. How do you filter all that into a 3 to 5 minute song and get your point across?
Man, it was really tough because I had like paragraphs of things. And so essentially what I did was just word vomit and then pick the lines that I felt most represented how I felt. And it was a lot of stuff to pick through. And I've reworked the lyrics so many times, like even up to the last day to where I was recording the vocals for it, like, because every word had to be perfect to me, and every word had to be correct in terms of like the sonics of the word, and like the emotion of each sentence, had to make sense, and it also had to pull people in. And it's like putting a puzzle together, really. It's like, okay, name one word that can make somebody feel this way and then sounds like this. And then I have to like really sit down and really think, what word needs to go here, which is the fun part about writing, is it's really a puzzle. And it wasn't easy, I will say, but it was really rewarding when I did it, when it finally got to where it needed to be.
You mentioned that this album allowed you the freedom to create because you produced it yourself and you were in the driver's seat pretty much for the whole record. Did you find it more difficult to get what you wanted to get across in your approach because of that freedom? Obviously, freedom sounds like, oh, it's going to be great, I can do what I want. But there's challenges to that too. Like, you've got to you've got to be that voice in the room as well as, the creator of saying, well, that's not good enough. That needs to be better. That needs a little bit more. How did you deal with those new challenges that maybe you never faced before when you were creating this album?
Yeah, I I pretty much had to split myself into two different people, the artist and then the producer, and toggle back and forth between those two roles. And it was really mentally draining, but it was so fun too at the same time because, as like, if someone else had produced it, I could have just kind of sat back on the couch and been like, what do you want me to play? Let's do it. But instead, I forced myself really to get to be the person that was like, this happens, you need to do this. Like, while at the same time motivating a group of people, motivating myself, making sure all the lyrics were correct and all the sounds were correct and all the, each compressor was right for each song and each mic sounded the way it should. And picking all of the gear, like, I think I just realized how much I love to do that. And up until this point, I worked at a music shop and I worked in the back and just by myself, and I would check in all the audio gear. And so over the 4 years that I worked in this music shop, I really learned the ins and outs of every mic there is, every compressor, like the way that everything sounds. And so I had such an idea of how gear sounds and like what sounds like what. And so I took that with me into the producer role and was able to say, let's use an LA2A on the vocals here. Let's use a DBX compressor here. Let's put the mics on the back of the shoulders to get the stereo image of the drums instead of in the front, So like these things that I learned through a job that I really hated, I carried with me into this role, and it was so rewarding. And it gave me hope that, okay, if there's something I'm going through that I absolutely hate, there's going to be a lesson in it and I'm going to be able to use that. So that was another kind of healing aspect of producing this record, is like, yeah, I mean, I had to work the whole shitty job and during COVID and it sucked. But now I know all this stuff and now I can produce my own records now. And it was really kind of an interesting shoe to drop in my brain. Like, oh, that's okay. That's why that happened, and it was definitely a challenge, but it was a challenge that was really rewarding, especially at the end. I don't think I've been nearly as detailed with my previous records as I have this one, because I had to be, I had to write the schedule out. What are we doing today? What are we doing tomorrow? How many hours do we have to do guitars here? What's the budget of this? All the little things that a producer does had to always be in the back of my mind. And so with that, I essentially had to write the songs before, like flesh out all the songs before I went in, which I demoed every song out really in detail. And then, so in order to produce the record, be in the tracking room and not performing, but also hearing it, I took my demos that I made, I muted the bass and the drums and exported those to my engineer. And so my band played along with the demos I made. And that way I could sit on the couch, hear it coming through the speakers and be like, that was the take, or we need to do that again, because I could hear the song as it was meant to be without me being in the room playing it, which was a cool approach. It was a lot of fun to do it that way. And then we just built everything off of the drum and bass takes.
What did it do? What did this whole process do for your evolution as an artist?
it gave me so much confidence. And it's weird because like before all of this, I kind of confused confidence and ego. And, you know, anytime somebody would say, oh, you're so good at this, I'd be like, I don't know. I'm like, I couldn't take any kind of compliment. I couldn't really sit in myself and feel confident in what I've done. But after producing this record and hearing what I did with my band and my engineer, it's easier for me to be confident in my abilities. And it was just a really necessary process, I think, for my evolution as an artist, because I'm trying to build a career where I just get to play arenas every night. And I feel like in order to do that, I've got to be more confident. So it's like, this is the thing I think that puts it into that territory. So I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
For you, going from the rage you felt when creating and deciding on how you wanted to approach this album, the freedom you had while making this album, to now touring and playing these songs live, what is that like to see the end process? Obviously, the album still has to come out, but you're playing songs that you recorded during these sessions for this album, and you've been in control of it all the way through to now playing. What's that like for you? That newness of having complete control from beginning to now, the output of people absorbing it live.
It's pretty incredible. Because sometimes, like even it's weird. Like sometimes even if I co-write a song with somebody and I perform it, it doesn't feel like mine. So having, the ultimate control over all of these songs just makes me feel completely authentic. Like this is exactly how I felt in the moment when I wrote the song. This is the emotion, that I'm going to perform with. And it's interesting. It's almost like having a crush or something, like a new crush. It's like this kind of butterfly feeling where, oh, we're coming up on the set list to this new one. Like, here we go. Like it's, scary and exciting and, just really rewarding.
Tell me about the White Wolf.
Oh man. Well, it's the second color of my signature Epiphone, which is based on a Sheridan that I played for a really long time. And Epiphone approached me, wanted to do a signature, and I freaked out, and I was like, of course, like, what are you talking about? Let's do it. And so, yeah, it's white and it's got diamond F holes, and I love playing it. It's so much fun to play. So yeah, the 335 style body, and yeah, it's my favorite style of guitar.
What was that like? Were you part of the process of designing it and all the creating it as well?
Yeah, they said, what do you want it to look like? And I was like, well, I want it to look like a Sheridan because I love the Sheridan. It's just like a field, it's so big, especially on me. I'm not, I'm kind of tiny, but I do love to play big guitars because I just love the way a big guitar sounds, and there's so much feedback in it and so much you can do with humbucker pickups. And we did a couple of iterations of the prototype, and the diamond F holes are probably my favorite feature because it's like the Trini Lopez and Dave Grohl models are so expensive, and to have an Epiphone with that feature, the price range, it's cool to be able to walk into a store and buy a guitar with those diamond F holes, because before this, it's like you had to just drop so much money to get that. And but it's interesting because they feed back differently than regular F holes. So the pickups had to be low output pickups so it wouldn't squeal. Because the first prototype I made, I was like, let's make them high output. Like, let's go, like, go big or go home. And then you hit a fuzz pedal with those pickups and diamond F holes, and it just squeals. And so the guys at Epiphone were like, well, let's make them low output. And at first I was a little bummed about it, but the low output is actually really great for fuzz pedals. So it's like the perfect guitar. And the other day somebody was like, what's your dream guitar? And I was like, I mean, it's this one. It's all I play. So it's sorry, I'm just like looking at it, like making sure I didn't miss anything about it. But it's the best. I'm truly like still blown away that it's even a thing.
I talk to a lot of young artists and young bands, emerging artists and bands, and we all know, or most of us know, that it's a struggle for a young artist and a band to get out and perform, get out and to make music. There's a lot of things working against you, especially in today's age of music. Are you happy where you're at right now? Like, do you feel like you're in the place that you're supposed to be? Obviously, there's always moving forward, right? But coming from where you came from to now, evolving as the artist, are you satisfied with where you're at right now?
Yes. Which a month ago I couldn't have said that. And the reason is, it's so interesting you asked this, because I've been thinking a lot about it. Obviously the goal is to be just selling out arenas every night. That's what I want to do. That's my ultimate goal, because I love to perform. It's where I fully feel like I'm supposed to be. A month ago, I went on the road and I was in a really dark headspace, because at this point in my career, it's so up and down and so unpredictable. And, one night the venue will be packed out. It'll be incredible. The next night I'll play for 8 people. And the unknowns were really getting to me. And I thought, I thought to myself, I was really down on myself, and I just thought, like, what is the missing piece here? Like, what is the puzzle piece that's missing? I don't know what it looks like. I don't know where that puzzle piece is. I have no idea what needs to happen to break out. I have no idea. And I just felt really hopeless and down on myself. And then I was talking to my wife about it, and she was like, I don't think you realize, like, how you're coming across. You're coming across as like, you're not grateful, and you don't, you're really just, looking at the negatives. And I thought about that conversation for a long time. And I realized through that, it wasn't easy to realize it, but the missing piece is me and my own attitude and my own perception and the story that I was telling myself. The story that I was telling myself was, I'm not where I want to be. I'm not anything. I'm not successful. Like, who cares? Nobody's going to come to my show. But then when I started to tell a different story, like, you know what? Yes, I am where I want to be. I'm on the road. I'm performing. I have a guitar out in stores. There are people who care about my music. Like, telling myself that story flipped my mentality so drastically. that things started to happen immediately. And it's like crazy how that happened. I mean, like, there was a point and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to tell a different story. I'm not going to tell the story of that I'm struggling, like, because I'm not. And so once I started to tell myself that story and tell other people that story, that I'm not struggling, that I'm doing really great and things are happening, things actually started to happen. And the next day I got offered to open for Tool at like the Budweiser Arena. And it was just really nuts, like how things just came so quickly. Like, so I will say, I mean, it is such a struggle for bands out there because like touring's hard. I mean, it takes a lot out of you, especially if you don't have somebody to drive a bus for you or somebody to manage your money or somebody to sell your merch. Like, it's so much work, but the story that you tell is really the thing that's going to happen. You know, if I say I'm struggling, I'm going to struggle. If I say I'm doing great things are going to happen. And so, yeah, I mean, the puzzle piece that I had to really realize was it's not missing. It's me. It's my own attitude. And I would say that to any band on the road feeling the way that I felt a month ago, because it got to a point where I was like, should I just give up? Like, should I stop doing this? Does anybody really care? And if you tell yourself people do care, and if you tell yourself it's going to work out, it will, you know? And so I can confidently say, yes, I'm happy where I'm at. It wasn't by any means easy to get to a point where I can say that, but yes.
You've got tour dates across the country now. You're playing in man, I think you end up in Arizona, I think, at the end of the tour. Are you, now that this album's on the verge of coming out, is there plans to really tour this next year? What are your plans to do? Are you coming to Chicago anytime soon? And that's all for my own personal selfish reasons. So,
man, I hope so. I love Chicago. I think at the moment, so I tour up until mid-November, pretty much off and on. And then next year I'll go to Europe, supporting Gaslight Anthem, the UK and Europe, and that'll be for about a month. And then I'm sure I'll tour the States. I'm sure I will. It's just a matter of when I get the email like, hey, you're going to go here. I'm like, okay, let's go. But yeah, I love playing Chicago, and I love that city. And yeah, I'll definitely let you know though when it happens and get you on the list.
Oh, appreciate that. Gaslight Anthem. I mean, I love those guys. I love that band.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, I listened to them all through high school, and then Brian and I connected on Instagram, and we just became really fast friends. And he's just the best, and he's so supportive of emerging artists, and it's really rare to meet somebody like him. And the rest of that band is just, they're just so great.
They are.
And yeah, I just love every one of them.
I really like his solo albums that he did. I think he did one with Butch Walker.
Yeah.
And, I mean, dude, Brian Fallon being produced by Butch Walker. I mean, come on, like,
Yeah.
you know?
Totally. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's going to be a great tour. I mean, I know they just came through Chicago at the end of last year in the fall, and they always play either the Riv or the Aragon. They always, I think, sell it out. They always do 2 nights. But yeah, that's such a great band. It's going to be a good opportunity for you. So that's awesome.
Yeah, be a lot of fun. It'll be so great. I'm so excited.
The new album out October 20th, which is just a few Fridays away. It's called The Blowback, and it's awesome. And the current single right now is Dead End Luck, so go check that out on all streaming platforms. Emily, it's been a blast talking with you. It's been a nice, interesting chat.
Likewise. So much fun talking to you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Make sure you check out that Buddy Guy Red House and that Magic Sand.
Yeah. I'm going to write that down right now. Buddy Guy Red House.
You'll listen to each one at least a dozen times because you'll be like, oh my, this is incredible.
Awesome. Written down. I'm definitely going to check it out right now. That's awesome.
Well, good luck with the album. And the first two singles are absolutely extraordinary. So congrats on that. And again, thank you very much for the time.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day. We'll see you again soon, I hope.
Will do. Everyone, that's Emily Wolfe. Get the album, The Blowback, on October 20th. Check out her two singles now on all streaming platforms. She's got more music before that too as well. So check it all out. Thanks again for listening. Take care of each other. Stay safe. And we will talk again soon. Thank you.
Hey, this is Eric Hutchinson. I've joined the Pantheon Podcast family, and I hope you'll come check out my new podcast, Songversations with Eric Hutchinson. Each week, we find out what music matters most to the people who define our cultures. I interview famous guests like actors, musicians, comedians, politicians, and everyone in between. We listen to music together, and we talk about the soundtrack of our lives. It's funny, insightful, revealing, and it's a great way to discover new music. So come check me out, Songversations with Eric Hutchinson, wherever you get your podcasts.